the new chairperson person of the Democratic National Committee. Congratulations for that. Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz joins us. Congratulations, Congresswoman. You are going to be one busy woman for the next 2 years.
You're not kidding.
Right.
I'm a busy mom, so I was already busy.
All right. That's very true. So, Congresswoman, it's been an unbelievable week for the country. The president orders and picks the right plan. He had a bunch of different plans he could have won for, and now we have definitive proof that it was Osama bin Laden. When do we start, do you think, with your strategy sessions, when do we start talking about the economy again?
Well, I think we've been pretty laser focused on the economy. The president and the Democrats in Congress have been talking about creating jobs and turning the economy around, and that's where we've been in terms of our agenda. It's why President Obama's been able to turn our economy around and stop the bleeding of hundreds of thousands of jobs and add 13 straight months of private sector job growth. So we've been focused in a laser-like way on getting the economy turned around, and at the same time, going after the most significant priority that we've had in terms of going after terrorism, and that's bringing Osama bin Laden finally to justice.
Right. Let's take a look at the gas prices right now. They had they went down a little bit overnight, but for the most part, it's intolerable for Americans to the point where they're not even driving as much, and that is what drove the gas prices down. But when he took office, it was $1.83. Now it's $3.98, $4. How does he battle that?
Well, if you look at the statistics from the Energy Information Agency, we actually have oil imports that are at their lowest point in recent years. We actually have oil reserves that are at their highest point since the last couple of years of the Bush administration, and we have the most domestic oil production that we've had in recent years as well. And so we are doing what we can to make sure that we can, and also it's important to note that the Americans are actually using less petroleum than they have recently.
Yeah, they don't have a choice, really.
The bottom line is that we are still giving ridiculous, unacceptable subsidies to oil companies and massive tax breaks that even they've said they don't need. And why the Republican Congress has not voted to end those oil subsidies is just beyond me. That's the first step that we need to take to start to try to bring our energy costs down.
And also, if you get people like Senator Mary Landrieu, who's in Louisiana, saying, please offer some more leases for the Gulf because people need to get back to work. That, of course, is something.
Well, like I said, domestic oil production is at its highest point in recent years, so we've actually really concentrated on that.
But no new leases of late, right?
That's important, but we've got to wean ourselves off of our dependence on oil, period, and really make investments in ending our dependence on fossil fuels and use renewable energy sources. That's the commitment that we should be making, and over the long term, that's what's going to really help us address diversifying our energy resources and making sure we can bring energy costs down.
And Congressman, it would also be great to get some new leases out there so people can get back to work. But I want to bring you to something that happened last night, and that was the first debate in the very beginning of this re-election season. You had 5 candidates walk out over on Fox News Channel and present their cases. What did you think?
Well, I thought it was interesting that the Fox Focus Group, its reaction was that the person who was a business leader was the one that won the debate. I think overall you probably have Brett and Chris and Shannon and Juan who were the winners of that debate because they asked really tough questions, fair questions. I thought their questions were thoughtful. Unfortunately, the responses were really wanting when it comes to the needs of the American people. Right.
So Herman Cain really shined, and you know all of them had their moments, but for the most part they were very complimentary towards the president about the operation. Was that heartening?
Well, I think this was a week for unity. I mean, this was a week in which all of us were incredibly pleased that finally we cut off the head of the snake. We got rid of the world. We rid the world of the scourge of Osama bin Laden. We've got, we can't take our eyes off the prize. But
Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz, the Democrats picked the right person. You're great on issues and fun to talk to. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian.